Hello coders, welcome to the third code quiz answers video. This time it's quizzes on Instagram and Twitter about CSS. So let's get started. The first one is, what controls a repeating background in CSS? I'm just reading this off my phone. Background, image repeat, repeat background, or background repeat. So the question again, what controls a repeating background in CSS? The possible answers were background, image repeat, repeat background, or background repeat. The correct answer is background repeat. About half of you got this right. So it is background repeat. And of course, the values that you could use for that would be, say, repeat Y or repeat X, or even just repeat. The next code quiz question is, in CSS, which property controls the text font? And the possible answers were font face, font, font family, or font style. So again, in CSS, which property controls the text font? Font face, font, font family, or font style. And the correct answer there is, of course, font family. Now, I added some of the other answers in there because they are actually rules in CSS, just to throw you off course. So font style, for example, is the style of the font, whether it's going to be sort of italics or bold or what have you. Font family is, of course, the family of the fonts that we're going to use. For example, if you've got you could have a whole list of fonts to apply to some text, and if a font declaration has a space in it, you need to have quotes. So you need to put quotes around it if there is a space in the font name that you want to use. And of course, with font family, you can have a whole list of fonts that you can use as well. So let's scroll to the next one. In CSS, how would you remove an underline from a hyperlink? The possible answers were underline none, text underline none, or text decoration none. So again, the question, in CSS, how would you remove an underline from a hyperlink? The possible answers were underline none, which I'm glad nobody got, text underline none, text decoration none. So half of you got this right. The answer is text decoration none. Now, the underline in the text in the hyperlink is obviously the default decoration for that. I understand why people could have got text underline none or even underline none, because text decoration doesn't actually say whether it's going to be an underline or not. It's just removing the decoration of the text, of the hyperlink. The next one that everybody got right, which I'm very glad to see, is in CSS, which rule overrides a previous style? So the possible answers were important, exclamation mark important, or important exclamation mark. So again, in CSS, which rule overrides a previous style? Important, exclamation mark important, or important exclamation mark? Of course, the answer is exclamation mark important. This will override a style that has been previously declared in the CSS, in the style sheet. The last CSS question was a trick question, and that is, how many padding properties are there in CSS? And I think I tricked a lot of you on this because the possible answers were 3, 4, or 5. So, again, the question, how many padding properties are there in CSS? The possible answers, again, 3, 4, or 5. So a lot of people went for 5. Some people went for 4. Nobody went for 3. The correct answer is, of course, 4. Now, why 4 and not 5? A lot of people went for 5. Why 4? Well, if you think about padding or any kind of CSS rule, for instance, that has, say, margin or border or what have you, when you're declaring 4 parts of, say, a block element, so left, right, top, or bottom, that's 4, right? These are the properties of the rule padding. So padding left, padding top, padding bottom, padding right, padding left, all of that stuff. There's 4 of them. There's 4 of them. Now, there's 5 if I was talking about how many rules of padding there are, because you would have padding left, padding top, padding bottom, padding left, padding right. Sure, right, they're the 4. And then you would have padding itself. But we're not talking about rules, we're talking about properties. Properties of padding. So padding, it would be, say, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels, 40 pixels. There's no more. There's no more properties that you can apply to padding. Not to the padding rule itself. If I was to say how many padding rules are there, then we would be talking about 5, because you would have padding left, padding top, padding right. I've forgotten the ones I've already done. Padding bottom, and then the other one. And then, of course, you would have padding itself. The topic for the next code quiz is going to be Python. So if you're new to Python, or if you're experienced in Python and you just want to check your skills, then do follow @HowToCodeWell on Twitter and Instagram, because these are Twitter polls and Instagram stories with quiz questions in it. So do check that out. And then, of course, next week I'll do a roundup video like this explaining the answers. So do follow me there. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody. I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.